Come on, 2, 3.
Well, good morning. Welcome back to the Broadcast Retirement Network. I'm Jeff Snyder. This is BRN AM for Wednesday, February 2nd, 2022. And our top story today, it's getting more difficult to buy and rent real estate. And joining us now to discuss this and a lot more, Deidre Woolard is with the Motley Fool. Dee, great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us on the program again this morning.
I am indeed a fool, a real estate loving fool.
Yeah, and that's just as an aside, that's how you all refer to yourselves. You're all fools.
Mm-hmm. We're all fools.
And your brand, your logo is a Motley Fool. It's a court jester.
Just the jester hat.
Yes, court jester hat. I'm sorry. Okay, so we've talked about the Motley Fool brand a little bit. I'm sure they appreciate that. Let's talk about how it's getting harder to buy and rent real estate. And Deidre, this is something that's not new, but I think we need to update the audience on the latest here.
Yeah, I keep looking at the numbers every month, and it is not getting any better on the rental or the buying side. Most recent numbers from the National Association of Realtors, really good year for sales overall in 2021. Increase of 8.5% sales, highest annual level since 2006. I don't think we're going to see that again, and partly that's because the inventory level at this point is at 910,000, which is about 1.8 months of inventory, the lowest level since 1999.
Yeah,
so
that is,
there's just nothing out there.
Yeah, there is. Sorry to interrupt you. I didn't mean to do that. You're absolutely right. It is I guess a seller's market, for lack of a better term, and this is really has caused prices to really shoot up for either investors, buyers, etc.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on the market. Median price for existing homes is $358,000. There's a little talk of maybe we're going to see a slower increase in prices this year, partly because of interest rates rising. But really, the supply-demand factor just doesn't seem to be going away. I don't know why we can't seem to get people to list their homes for sale, and we can't build homes fast enough to keep up with the demand.
Really good point. And I wonder, obviously putting a home up for sale takes time, effort, but you got to be able to go somewhere, Deidre, once you sell your house. And if you sell your house quick, you've got to be able to move quick. Do you think that there's concern about where do I land? Also, if I live in, for example, a high-priced real estate area, I've got to buy another home that may be more money than what I'm currently paying. So do you think that kind of weighs on a seller's mind?
Yeah, that's absolutely a factor. That's one of the reasons that iBuying was supposed to sort of eliminate some of that by offering people sort of a hassle-free way to sell their houses. Doesn't quite seem to have been working out as well as certain companies thought it would. One of the other things that some of these companies are doing is they're offering people basically something that allows them to make a cash offer on another home, because part of the problem here is it's so competitive. Homes are selling sight unseen. Bidding wars are still very common, so it's hard to find that other home to move into.
What makes me, if I'm out there competing, or one of our I was going to say customers, but our audience members out there competing, what makes an attractive buyer? So if you're a seller and you have 5 offers, 10 offers, how can I set myself apart to buy your house?
People like cash offers. People like a hassle-free close. People want waiving contingencies, which I don't recommend. I think it's a little risky with an existing home if you're waiving home inspections or things like that. But we are seeing a lot of as-is sales, and that is one way to make it attractive.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I guess if you can afford it, a lot of cash down probably makes it easier. We're going to talk about credit scores in the second half of the show, but having near perfect finances sounds like that's where you have to be. And I would imagine the lead time to buy a home, to decide to buy a home, probably you need to decide now if you're going to buy a home even two months from now, 3 months from now.
Well, that's where it gets a little tricky because the average amount of time that a home is on the market is about 21 days, and it keeps going down. And so you've also got the fact that most homes are selling in under a month. So it used to be that you would have that sort of 8 to 12 week period where you would shop for homes. Now you kind of have to go in if it meets your criteria, you have to make an offer within 24 to 48 hours. You don't really have a chance to decide. Uh, People I've talked to have talked about like touring a house and having to make the decision sort of as soon as they leave the house. It's very, very stressful.
Yeah, I would think that that is very difficult. I was just watching the Amityville Horror, and when they bought that house, George and Kathy Lutz, it's based on a quasi-true story, I guess, at least based on a book. And they had to buy a house, and then they got saddled. I guess they waived contingencies because they got saddled with demons and hauntings. Last question, kind of a fun question, Deidre. The metaverse, we talked about that last time you were on. Should I just go buy a house in the metaverse as opposed to buying a real house and just live my life in the internet?
Well, you still need to physically be somewhere, but metaverse real estate is going up really quickly. It's amazing. There's a land grab going on over there too, so there's not really much relief in the metaverse, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I like that. Deidre, I like that you play along, and you're always fun to talk to. I'm going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we told you we were going to talk about it. What if you don't have a great credit score? What are some things that you can do to get yourself to buy a mortgage? You're going to want to stay tuned right here on BRN AM.
But if you're tired of the same.
Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings and retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms? Especially for the smaller businesses. I mean, they are the lifeblood of the American economy. Featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans. And we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network.
Are you stuck with a low credit score? A credit report and score that's causing you to be denied credit or pay higher interest rates than others for the same things? Then do what Terrence did and call Credit Repaired for your free credit evaluation to help restore your credit.
I started thinking about buying a new house, and my score wasn't where I needed it to be. I called and spoke with one of the representatives, and we just had a good conversation, and I liked what he was saying.
Just one call for his free credit evaluation was all it took to start back on the track to repairing his credit.
I'm seeing the deletions, and I'm getting the report, so I know something's being done. It does make a difference to me.
All it takes is one call to get started.
Credit Repair has given me a second chance to have a better credit score.
Don't let a low credit score hold you back another day. Do what Terrence did and make the call for your free credit evaluation.
Call 800-819-4152. That's 800-819-4152. Again, 800-819-4152.
Welcome back. We're talking this morning to Deidre Woolard of The Motley Fool. Deidre, thank you, as always, for sticking with us this morning.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I mean that in all seriousness. You are a maven of real estate. Maybe we'll call you Maven. That'll be your title. All right, let's talk about if I don't have good credit. What are some things that I can do to, one, improve my credit, obviously make payments on time, et cetera, but also improve my chances of getting that mortgage?
Yeah, credit is so important right now, and interest rates are going to keep going up. So there's a lot of pressure there. One of the things that I always tell people is that you should really shop for a mortgage with the same intensity that you shop for a house, because you're going to have both of them for the same amount of time. But even before you start shopping for the house, and especially since houses are going so quickly, you really have to get your credit in line. You have to pull all the reports, see what's in there, figure out what your credit score is, and then figure out how to slowly make things better. Whether it's, do you have enough credit? Do you have too much credit? Do you need to close out certain cards? Do you need to transfer your balance to a lower interest rate? There's different things that you can do to kind of gradually increase that. And now there's just so many different ways that you can monitor your credit that I think it's something that didn't exist, even a decade ago.
Yeah, we're talking about Experian, Credit Karma. There are a lot of brands, all of whom do not sponsor the show, by the way. So we're just giving them a free plug. But Deidre, 620 is a pretty decent score, but even those that have that score, so it's usually what, out of 800, 850, something like that, depending on the service used to scrutinize. That is considered a decent score to get a mortgage, but some people are having difficulty.
Well, there's been a little bit of inflation. You're absolutely right. The credit score is now you need a higher and higher credit score, and really it's just sort of what's been happening, and it just really requires you to be diligent about knowing what your credit score is. There's so many services to monitor it, and just keeping track of all of the things that you have, because sometimes you may have credit cards open that you're not even aware of. And that's a thing I think that happens to a lot of people. You may be paying for subscriptions that you're not even aware of. So it's really important to do that sort of scrutiny into your own accounts before you start planning to buy a house.
And a good mortgage officer will walk you through, a good mortgage officer will walk you through what you need, help you get things in order, and also find loan programs that make sense. For example, the Federal Housing Administration, I think it's called the FHA, they have specific loan programs, mortgages, for lower income but also lower credit scored individuals.
That's true. And there are also a bunch of down payment assistance programs for that part of things, because it's hard to do that. And one of the things that I think is interesting is that Blackstone recently announced that they're getting into the rent-to-own market. So they're spending about $1 billion to do rent-to-own houses. Not sure how that's going to work out. I have some reservations about rent-to-own as in its fairness to someone who's trying to buy, but that may be an option for some people.
That's an interesting concept, because we have talked about with you and others the fact that if you rent, right now if you rent, you really don't get credit towards a mortgage, and I've rented for a long time, and there's discussions about changing that so that you can get some credit. But that's an interesting concept where Blackstone, which is a private equity firm, right, that would allow you to rent to own. It's almost like buying a couch.
It is a little like buying a couch. Yeah, Blackstone was really the leader in the single-family rental market at coming out of the great financial crisis with Invitation Homes. They got out of that business, but now they're back in these mostly single-family rental business, but really skewing towards the affordable side. So interesting to watch what's going to happen there.
Yeah, let's tie it back to our first segment. I mean, you talked about having your financials, what makes a good buyer from a seller's perspective. When it comes to credit score, this is part of, and that application, you've got to have this stuff buttoned up before you even go down that road. So maybe even before you even go looking at a home, because you don't want to be George and Kathy Lutz and have to buy the home, make a decision on that day. You've got to have all these things in a row before, like your credit, your income, proof of income, all those things lined up before you even step into a potential new home.
Yeah, that's a really good point. You absolutely should be pre-qualified. You should not be looking at homes until you have that letter, until you've had that introductory talk. And it doesn't mean that once you do that, you're locked into that particular mortgage. You can still shop around, and you absolutely should shop around. But doing that initial inquiry before you start house hunting is really important.
Yeah, last question, Deidre, and I can't let you go without talking about the Federal Reserve and interest rate hikes. There's not an inverse or a direct relationship, but What's your sense, talking with experts, including yourself, not that you talk to yourself, but talking amongst experts about where mortgage rates are headed as a result of what the Fed has signaled to investors?
Well, they've already been creeping up. So they're up. Last week's Freddie Mac PMMS survey, they were at 3.55% for a 30-year fixed. It's about 0.8% up from last year. So it's already been happening. It's just happening slowly. And I don't think the speed in which it's happening is gonna pick up, but it is going to keep rising, and that's going to be a little bit of a shock for people who have sort of never seen high interest rates before. I'm older; I've seen it before. It doesn't spook me, But we've had low interest rates for such a long period of time that it's really going to be a shock for some people.
Yeah, I think I'm older than you, Deidre, and I remember the 70s and the 80s. We had double-digit interest rates, and we had, by the way, high single digits and double-digit inflation. So it was what they economists refer to as stagflation. Well, Deidre, this is I learned so much talking with the maven of real estate. Thanks so much for joining us, and we look forward to having you back on the program again very soon.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That wraps up this episode of BRN AM. Have a topic of interest, someone you think we should talk to? Well, hey, drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the information in lifestyle, wellness, finance, tech, so much more, and all in one place, check out today's edition of our daily newsletter, The Morning Pulse. Want to see our latest content or search our archives? Well, check out our website. That's www.broadcastretirementnetwork.com. And, of course, our streaming partners like Roku, Samsung, Amazon, and over 100 more. We're back again tomorrow. Until then, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving, and don't forget, roll with the changes.
Waiting here for you to take and drink of. But if you're tired, come on.
Now is your opportunity to co-create content around any topic on the first lifestyle and wellness network. Reach a global audience through our platform and co-own exclusive branded content. All of our programs are available on demand and also as audio-only podcasts, so you can take us on the go. Broadcast Retirement Network, available anytime, anywhere, and on any device.
Are you being audited? And do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Is the IRS threatening to take more of your money? Don't fight the IRS alone. The Tax Doctor is here to help you negotiate your tax bill and reduce your stress. The IRS can freeze your assets and seize your bank accounts, but you can stop these IRS actions. The Tax Doctor will work with you using our years of experience to represent your case to help you get the best resolution under the IRS guidelines. Help is here to deal with the IRS to reduce your stress. We've handled thousands of cases, so we know what we're doing. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, do not call the IRS alone. Call a Tax Doctor now for a tax emergency analysis.
Call 800-224-6439.